Collecting NES games is what all the cool kids are doing these days. Being cool and collecting NES games is expensive though, and you're broke, and you're not cool. But that doesn't mean you don't deserve to collect good games. So take a seat and let me tell you about the perfect game to get you started on a collection that will make you feel cool and less broke. There are probably 100 good cheap NES games out there that might fit the bill, easily enough to fill up a top 10 list like all the other cool internet videos do these days. But I'm lazy, and you're broke, so you shouldn't be buying that many games anyway. There is one game that perfectly checks all the boxes we're looking for. First, we're after a game that's really good. Obviously, who in the right mind would collect bad video games? Second, the game has to be cheap, because you're broke. But third, and maybe most importantly, the game has to have charisma. It has to have flair. It's got to have style. What you lack in money and coolness, and probably dignity if you're watching this, you're going to make up for with charisma. We're talking about one good cheap game that has to be the strongest representative possible of your entire collection. You'll overcompensate for your NES collection's small size and caliber with eccentricity, or eccentricity, or however you pronounce that. Who cares? It's foolproof. That brings me to my next point. Charisma means none of the usual suspects. That means it's not Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. 3, Metroid, Tecmo Super Bowl, Legend of Zelda, Tetris, or any of the other top 10% style games that every Joe Schmo has on his shelf. Sure, they're good, and you can find them cheap, but you can also find them in every other NES collection ever. That's not charisma. That's boring. Forget about them. Also, no Duck Hunt because I hate that game. Let's get to the point. The best NES game of all time for the broke nerd is Iron Sword Wizards and Warriors 2. Let it soak in for a moment. You know soaking. It's colorful. It's action-packed. It's got a big cool Castlevania kind of map thing. Some of the walls have faces. The startup screen is awesome. Did I mention it's a rare game? There's a giant frog that reminds me of Hypnotoad. It even has really good music. I don't have a picture of that, but I do have a picture of this glorious cover art. Even when you're not playing Iron Sword, it's going to be the best looking game on your shelf. Then remember, you're broke. How could you forget? So you don't have a fancy back of the box description to work with. If you're picking a game you've never played, you're going strictly off the label. That's where this astonishing piece of cover art gets brownie points. Your hero Kuros may not look much like Fabio in gameplay, but his in-game armor is probably more effective, and it can still be Fabio under there. Just use your imagination. It's literally one of the cheapest, easiest NES games to get from the entire library. Why does it seem like everyone is selling this game? The world's loss is your gain though, because for a lousy $6 max, or roughly 1.7 faded copies of Anticipation, you could own one of the underappreciated staples of the NES library, and a game that every nerd can, and should, afford to have in their collection. Seriously, broke nerds, if you have an NES, buy this game. It's the only NES game on your shelf. At least your shelf will look Fabio. I mean fabulous. And it'll have all your visitors saying, "Hey, that game looks amazing." And your response will sound something like, "Yeah, it's pretty darn good. And I got a great deal on it too." And then you'll show them this presentation as proof. I'll let you use it for free. Just promise me that you won't waste any more of that time and money that you don't have on other games until you've bought this one. Because I'm giving it the internet caliber guaranteed stamp of random strangers' approval as the best NES game out there for broke nerds. And it's way better than Duck Hunt.